Welcome to episode 62 of Ring Talk, the weekly Goodwin boxing show. Myself, Martin Theobald, and with Steve Goodwin.
How are you, Martin? I'm good?
I'm good, I'm really good. I've had a busy weekend at Alton Towers with the kids.
Yeah, was it good? Did you enjoy it?
Lovely. If you've never been to Alton Towers with the kids, just go to CBeebies Land. Like, if you've got young uns, and there's plenty there for
Where did you stay? In the Alton Towers Hotel?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. So we're in a CBeebies hotel.
Yeah.
Plenty of entertainment. It's lovely. Great time.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm fucked, if I'm honest. Like, the kids have worn me out.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
they've still got loads of energy for school.
I spent all weekend. I went out to see some country music in Milton Keynes.
I saw it at Stables.
Yeah, it was good. And then, but apart from that, I stayed and watched the boxing all the boxing on Sunday. Caught up with it. Also, spent a lazy weekend now, so it's good.
All right, so let's hit on the. Before we do that, subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe. We need 210 more, I think,
right.
and then the money generates, and then we can help towards boxers' title fights. So if you're watching this, and your mates watch YouTube, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it does help us get. We need to get to 1,000, and we're about 790.
Someone questioned on Twitter, laughed about the fact they would be able to help boxers. So explain how subscribing will help.
Well, they laughed. I thought it was okay.
So someone genuinely like, oh yeah, no, how's everybody going to help them?
So how it helps is this: when you get to 1,000 subscribers, you qualify to receive money for the videos that are shared.
Right.
So from our point of view, then it does create a situation where it's worth us getting a lot more content out, because it means every time somebody watches that content, it pays money. When you get money paid, if you generate enough of it, then obviously even any of it does help towards boxers. So what we're saying is whatever money we generate from YouTube will go towards boxers and their title fights.
So in some way there will be, I don't know, boxer A has a title fight coming up and you've got a purse bid that you've won, you've got to cover that, take that money from YouTube and just insert it there.
So for example, if a boxer in a title fight is having to sell, let's say he's having to sell £4,000 of tickets, and then he's going to earn above that, and we got £1,000 in the kitty, he only has to sell 3,000. If we've got 4,000 in the kitty, that boxer won't have to sell anything.
Yeah.
So it means that boxer's going to earn more money. It's going to help the boxers. It's not at this level to help their career and help them, or fund whatever it may be. Maybe a boxer who's in a massive fight will need to go into take some time off work, so we'll be able to use that to fund their time off work. Anything like that.
Yeah. So I had no idea. So there you go. There's the answer as to how it may be able to assist.
Yeah. So that's why it's important that you subscribe, because you're helping. And what I find quite strange, and this is true, a lot of our boxers watch this,
but don't subscribe.
And they're the people that we're going to try and help. So if they're not going to subscribe, then we're not going to help them.
They got a week to subscribe, do it.
All boxers that watch this have got, I think that's fair. And if you don't, then when we get this through, then it won't be you that we help. I think that's fair.
Yeah, there you go. So the money isn't for me, isn't for Steve. I have no interest in it. It's to try and do something good for the boxers to help them out in the long run.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, there we go. Now we've got that out of the way. Send me sponsors as well. Boxers out there. No sponsors this week again. Any boxers that got sponsors, send them in and I will mention them on here and they will get some kind of exposure of some sort, and we can talk about how good they are.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Right, that's the admin out of the way. Ultimate Boxer, did you watch it?
Watched it all on Sunday morning. I kept away from, on Saturday night, I kept my phone switched off.
Friday?
So Friday night. I was out with friends on Friday night, so I kept my phone switched off, so on Saturday I could watch it totally without knowing the result. Yeah. Josh walked in and I said, Josh, do not tell me any results. And then Josh said to me afterwards, I was going to have a bet on it, and he said I was going to have a bet on it, and I just wished I had, and I thought, bloody Grant Dennis has won it, because I thought that would have been the one, but it wasn't. It was actually, I was speaking to somebody who knew Josh, and he was telling them, they asked him for a tip on the bet, and he was telling them Azazzi, he thought Azazzi would win it. It was a good call. But again, on the same theory that we spoke about last week, the up and coming, he thought he had a fairly easy-ish route.
Yeah.
He thought, so that was his decision. But yeah, it was quite an interesting competition. I thought, once again, there were two 10-round fighters in there, Taylor Jones and Grant Dennis. Taylor Jones lost, obviously, but I think it's very difficult for boxers to adapt from when they've been down doing 10-round fights down to the 3 rounds. And I think Grant Dennis, in my opinion, was the most skilled fighter, better, even more so than Conway, who had an amateur skill, but as a professional skill, he had the best skill. But the format does not suit that type of fighter.
I thought Dennis, I sat watching it in a hotel Friday night, I was away, so the kids in the same hotel room, wife trying to get to sleep, this thing goes on till like fucking 11:30 or whatever, doesn't it? So I'm sat with the volume down on my phone trying to watch it, while my friend Riku of Lead Right on Twitter is sending me clips of the Jordan Gill fight as well, so I'm watching them in between rounds. So shout out to Riku for doing that as well.
I'm speaking to Riku tomorrow.
Oh yeah, good man. Yeah. But yeah, he was sending me clips of the Jordan Gill fights, so I can watch them as well. But yeah, I thought Grant Dennis, after maybe 2 rounds of that first fight, seemed to get his rhythm, seemed to get the pace of it more than other kind of championship fighters you've seen in it before. Looked good, I thought, but
the 3-round stop, it's very hard for 10-round fighters to do that.
Yeah.
It's the wrong competition for 10-round fighters. I mean, for Grant Dennis, he's 35 years of age. He doesn't seem to have been navigated by his management team to anything. So I guess I understand why he had to do it, but really you would have hoped that he would have been fighting at much higher 10-round level, because his talent deserves that. I mean, he lost controversially to Elliot Matthews, and I think he's way above fighting in an Ultimate Boxer. That's me personally, I think he's that good. But I think it's going to be very difficult for him to get back to title situation now at 35.
Yeah, and that Sazi looks like hard work.
Just a nightmare for people. A nightmare.
You know, when Taylor Jones got that cut and then Sazi, you could see him rubbing the glove into it. I'm like,
he's a bit of a... He's not a clean fighter, is he?
But good luck to him, he's getting away with it.
But again, you know, I mean, we were approached to put Linus in that. I mean, God almighty, if ever there was a competition not for Linus, that was it. He's a slick, fantastic boxer.
Typically loses the first round whilst
he would have been struggling with these lunatics trying to rough him up. That's why we didn't even entertain it. Brad Pauls did contemplate going in, and again, I think the competition would have suited him, but they changed the date on him, so it then became a no-brainer that he wasn't going to do it, and the southern area came up as well.
Yeah.
But again, I think for Brad, he's had 1 10-rounder, but he's still got that 3-round thing in him. So I think he would have won it, Brad Paul. After watching that, I think Brad Pauls would probably have won it. But again, we're building a career for him, so I'm still sort of at a thing with Ultimate Boxer. I'm not sure, you know, if without going through the financials of how it works. It's not like Prize Fighter used to be, and so it's not the same thing. So I'm still not totally convinced it suits all fighters. I think it might suit some in certain circumstances. Kieran Conway, I thought was impressive, but he looks like he should be a super welterweight, not a middleweight. He could come again, but I thought, you know, so I thought he was good. I think, but Asase, is he going to get? What's going to happen to him? Because if you look at the last 2 winners, they haven't done anything. Drew Brown, Shaqan Peters was on there, but nobody's been snapped up by a TV network. And I don't think Derek Azazi will buck that trend.
Yeah, then it's difficult. I love watching it. I think it's good fun.
Me too.
I don't like watching Idris Virgo from Love Island in a 4-rounder against some foreign journeyman. I don't need to watch it. He's not good enough to be on a TV platform. It's nothing against Idris Virgo whatsoever, but I watch a TV platform to see either really fun fights, which those Ultimate Boxer ones typically are, or highly skilled fights. One or the other. And sometimes, okay, you get an Olympian versus a foreign journeyman, but I don't get it over 4 rounds, somebody who's not that good against a foreign journeyman. I don't need to see it on primetime BT Sport. That's my personal view on it. I find it really frustrating. I know they've got to have a break in between rounds or in between fights, like the first round of fights, and then the second round of fights, and then the final. They've got to have a break between those. I don't need that filled by Idris Virgo versus some foreigner. Just my rant about it. And I've actually told someone from Ultimate Boxer that before, and this never listens, so whatever. Moving moving on. Who have you signed this week? There have been some new signings.
Got 2 signings this week. We've changed our policy. We weren't announcing them.
Yeah.
But the fighters have been saying, we want you to announce.
They want their moment.
They want the moment for us to talk about them. So we are going to do that.
Wait, you can only announce them when they're subscribed.
Yeah,
because we've got to send you a screenshot.
We'll do that from now on. That's not a bad one. Right, the 2 we signed this week are 2 really exciting signings. We've got another. Do you know I've got 8 or 9 new boxers to see for the rest of this month.
Right. So
really
half a month.
I'm away for next week in Turkey. So we've got literally, it's like the inquiry levels are more than they've ever been, and I'll talk about that again in a minute, because it was something one of the boxers asked me to go through again today, which I will do after this, about career building rather than show planning, and he didn't really get it. So it was somebody that was going to come to us. So I said, we'll talk about it. But let's talk for.
What? So he watched this and then picked up on it?
Yeah.
No, I like that.
He watched it, picked up on it, rang me, said, I want to come and see you, but can you go through this again, because I like it, but I want you to explain it in more detail, the differences. So I'll cover that in a minute. So the 2 sides we've got. First one is Ylli Jasharej. Now,
are you confident in that pronunciation?
No. Lovely guy from he's Albanian descent. He holds a British passport, but he's from Albania. He came to see me. He'd been recommended by Sam Cox.
Okay, I assumed you were going to say from Florian.
Well, no, he was recommended by Sam. He's a friend of Sam's. He was looking to sign with somebody else before. Then that didn't happen, and he's heard only good things from Sam. So thank you, Sam, because it's really nice when your boxers, and this is what happens. But on top of that, he then saw that Florian had signed with me, and he just said that he's like a celebrity superstar in Albania. And he said he said he was going to come anyway, but when Florian signed, he just came to sign the papers. He wasn't even coming. He came to meet, but he came to sign. He was signing before he even came.
Does he want to meet Florian? Is that like?
I don't know. I think he knows Florian, but no. But the point with it was, I think it was like the fine. Sam was obviously advocating us, and by Florian signing with us, and I think he wants to fight on a Florian show.
Right.
I think that's what he wants to do. So that's something that I'm sure we can help him achieve.
I suppose, yeah. If he knows Florian has put his trust in you, then he must. Yeah, take that as an advocacy.
That's very nice, and he's really excited. He's won 8 out of 11 amateurs, but he's really, really good. And I've seen the footage of him, and hits really hard. He's like a Tyson-esque fighter. So it wasn't suited to the amateurs. I think he's going to be really, really superb, and I'm really excited with him. I think he could be a really, really top prospect. Nice. So it's nice when you sign one and you can get excited about him. And I think he's got he came up with his dad. Really nice kid.
A young lad.
Yeah, he's very young. He's in his early 20s.
But if he's friends with Sam, chances are he's going to be relatively young. But
very, very talented. And the second one we signed is a really good kid again, called Bailey Donald from Portsmouth. He's 5 times counties champion. He won the bronze in the 3 Nations. He was in the Junior ABA final, and he's won 5 other titles. So a really good kid, and he's trained by Darren Wiseman.
Okay.
Trained Joel McIntyre.
Yeah, he's doing Wiseman and the others down.
Now Darren's amateur gym. He's going really well.
I keep seeing on Facebook. He's always at tournaments.
Champions. He's got unbelievable amount of champions. He's got Darren Wiseman, and he's obviously going to be a really major player in boxing, and I really get on well with Darren, and it's really going to be great to work with him. I mean, Darren saw how I work with Joel, and obviously really happy. So we're going to be working with his fighters. Good. So I'm really excited to.
So how old is Bailey?
Bailey's 20. I'm doing this from memory. I think he's around about the 20 mark.
Okay, so still a young lad.
Still young. Might be younger, but yeah, I'm doing it from memory of looking at him without looking at him. He's young, and he's going to be developed. And we're going to come out with a press release on it tomorrow, so it'll be on Tuesday. But I'm really excited about both of them. They're both super talented, and again, it's important to sign these super talents that you think are going to go on and be your title winners 3 years, 4 years down the line. Because what we had is, last year we had a void. Now we've all got the next lot coming through, and what I like to do is bring them all through, and then so you've got consistency of the title winners coming through. So it's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's happened, hasn't it? That probably over the last 2 or 3 years, I use it quite often as an analogy of like harvesting a crop of, you've grown those talents, and now the likes of Brad Pauls are going for titles, and then you have to start thinking of the lot that'll be coming through.
We've got quite a few now. You've got like Bradley Smith at 9-0, Mark Little at 11-0.
Yeah. Nick Parpa.
Nick Parpa's come through for titles. Curtis Felix now in his English Eliminator at 9-0. We've got a lot of them now all coming through, and we're building the careers all through bit by bit and placing them here and placing them there and getting them through. And then we've got quite a lot that at the 5 and 6 zone, and a lot of the 2 and 3 zone, and you're just bringing them through in batches so they can all fulfil what they've got to do, got to achieve. So it's really good. One just other thing from last week we didn't mention was sad to see Josh Kennedy got beat.
Yes.
Now Josh, I managed for 3 years
against Craig Cunningham, was it?
Jason Cunningham,
sorry.
And I managed Josh for first 3 years. At the end of the 3 years, he was Southern Area champion, English champion, undefeated. He was one of the very, very, very few, and there are very few, that do not renew 3-year contracts. So I've got nothing against him because you make your choices in life. But I'm sad to see that since he left us, things haven't gone that well for him. He, obviously he lost to Tyrone McCulloch, he's lost to Cunningham. It's just sad to see, because I was really hopeful when I had Josh that I would get him to become a British champion, and it hasn't happened for him. And even when a boxer fulfills their contract, and if they choose that they believe somebody else is going to do better, or somebody's told them they're going to do better, I don't ever hold that against them. Yeah. Because to me, he hasn't done anything wrong by that. He's made choices. But when I feel that a fighter should have done better, and hasn't done better, I'm sort of gutted, because he's a nice kid. You
like to see those choices come off. So Johnny Garton going and winning a British title.
Yeah, because Johnny Garton was just like at that particular point. At that particular point for Johnny, it was a scenario where it was. It's a long story, but we decided together that was the right thing for him to do. But Johnny Garton, nobody was more happy than when Johnny Garton won a British title, because we didn't. It was perfectly. We still get on well now, and he'll send me a message here and there, and he's a good guy. Same with Josh. I have nothing against that, But obviously, most of the time, if it's a choice and I don't think it's right, I don't think many go on and do better or don't fulfil what they should have done.
Yeah.
But for Josh, I'm just gutted, because I just think he was. He should have done better than he's done. Not that I just think he's not fulfilled what I expect him to. He's underachieved at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully he can still go on.
Hopefully he can still go on and do it. I hope he does.
I saw he came out with like his vanilla ice wrap. He came out with was it Father Christmas?
Yeah.
He was always good fun, Josh.
No, I like Josh. It's just I like to see a boxer fulfil what I expect them to fulfil. I want a boxer to overachieve rather than underachieve.
Yeah. So, all right. All the signings done?
Signings done. We covered last weekend. That's it, really.
Board notices. I don't think we've got any questions about this, so we'll quickly touch on them before we go any further.
Last week, yeah. So there were 3 things that happened. We won the purse bid for Prospere to defend his title against Sam O'Maison.
Yeah.
So Sam O'Maison.
No, so for Sam O'Maison to defend his title.
Sorry, Sam O'Maison.
Rather than the other way around.
Apologies for that, Sam. No, because obviously we had an offer and it was up. We were like that whether to accept the offer. But when we go into a purse bid scenario, if we want to win a purse bid, we tend to win it if we want to win it.
Yeah.
And we won that purse bid, so Sam's got to come to London again. I'm going to sort the date out by next week.
Which I think, looking on his Twitter, he was quite happy about that. He said it had worked out the way they wanted it to work out.
Yeah. But if it had, why? Let's be really honest.
Why would you have made the offer?
Made the offer, so you made an actual good offer. It was a really good offer.
Yeah.
So we could have took that offer, so we'd have gone up there. So that's not necessarily I'll take that all with a pinch of salt. When you lose a purse bid, or the purse bid doesn't go the way you wanted it to, you're always going to say that. But if but listen, he's getting well paid. Good luck to them all. But again, if from that point of view, we've got obviously now. It was sort of touch and go how we were going to play it, but in the end of the day, that's the way it went. And
does it make a difference when you're considering what value to put into it around the people that are on the other side of that purse bid? So you know Ryan Rhodes now, and you know Sam O'Maison. They're good people. You spent a lot of time with them when they were down here. They're nice people. They're reliable people. That kind of stuff. Does that play a factor I mean, not in terms of what you fiscally value the fight at, but the confidence you have that that fight's going to go ahead. Because we'll come on to the other side of it.
100%. We know that fight's happening, and
bar injury or
disaster, and you know full well that if Sam O'Mason pulls out of that fight, it will be 100% genuine. You'll never have to question. If Ryan Rhodes says that, you know for a damn certainty that that is true.
Yep.
You don't have to question anything. Taylor Jones, blah blah blah. With that, you know exactly that they know that it's all true. So you know that fight's going to happen. But a value on the fight is basically, from Kay's point of view and our point of view, where the backing is for that fight. Where it's a financial decision based on where the backing is, and who would back Kay. Would people back him to stage it down here? And there's been enough backing for Kay. We only actually decided lastminute.com how we were playing it, because we could have accepted that bid until maybe a day before the purse bids were open. So it wasn't a nailed down thing, but once we met with Kay and then he put the package together, then it made sense to put this bid in. If they had bid more than this, then Kay would have gone up there.
Because there is a financial risk to everyone involved, isn't there? That, I don't know, pick a figure out the air, £50,000, because everyone will know it's not £50,000, so I'm not going to give anything away by saying that. £50,000 is what you put a bid in and win at. Then that has to be broken down, presumably. But how confident are you that the fighter can sell X amount in tickets?
Or sponsorship.
Sponsorship can come in for X amount, and you've got to tally it all up, so you're going to hit 50k, ideally more than 50k.
We don't want to make no money out of that fight. As a promoter, whoever's promoting it, I will make sure that it's covered so that Kay gets the best possible financial arrangement with the promoter. So that's it. So you've got to make sure that you're covered. The boxer's got to make sure it's covered. Everybody's got to be on the same page, and then you go towards doing it. I'm working on, as I spoke to this morning, I'm working on another fight that's not even, it's in its infancy. I told you, didn't I? What I'm aiming for, something in September, and we're already working on raising money for that fight, and we've already, as you know, we've already done quite a bit of money for that. So that's going to be exciting if we can manage to pull this off. So, but the Kay thing was a situation of where we were last minute. So that fight is going to happen in London. But as you know, Kay has a better chance of winning in London than he would do in Sheffield.
Yeah.
So that is in part of the equation, and his age is part of the equation. If he was 24, you'd probably be much more easygoing about going up to Sheffield.
Yeah.
But at 34, you can't. A loss is the end for him.
So this is a British title eliminator.
It's now an upgrade. So the board have made it. So really, the winner's not going to be far from British title shot.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really important fight. The second thing we won was Deion Jumah against Isaac Chamberlain, which I'm reliably told by quite a few people, and I do believe that Isaac, he hasn't pulled out yet, believe it or not, but we're expecting them to pull out.
So when does he have to pull out? But if he's going to?
Well, basically, contracts are issued. What you've got to think is a fight is worth what somebody's prepared to pay.
Yeah.
So you can value, as I said to your friend Terry on a thing yesterday, we can value our house at $500,000, but if somebody's only going to give us 400,000, that's what the house is worth. Same as selling a car. You can't just say, I'm worth this, because you're not worth this if people aren't prepared to pay. Just on a simple thing, when Frank Buglioni came to me unattached, nobody wanted him. When he had something, you had more people bidding, so his value went from there to there.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, you have to sometimes, like Frank is sensible, he knew what his value was and knew where he needed to get his value to. Gets it. Boxers need to understand when their value is there, and then if you do it right, you go to there. But when they overvalue themselves, their careers just die. That's what happens. So they got that to do. If he pulls out, then he will then get, the next thing will happen, he'll have a disciplinary hearing with the Board of Control. And obviously this will be his second breach of this, because he'd done the same with Wally Camacho in the Southern Area title.
Yeah.
So I would expect and hope that the board, if he does it again for a second time, will take severe action against him, because there's two boxers' careers he will then have held up. If he doesn't pull out and signs the contracts, then the fight will take place. We've given them a date for July the 6th. if he wants to honour the agreement, it's fine, the fight can take place. But if he doesn't, then he won't do that. The board will have to take their bit. And then with Deion Jumah, we will have to then, this will be the second time, the third opponent, it's happened, 2 have pulled out, one got beaten. So this is now a process, and I've explained it. I don't want to cover the process upstairs, but you understand what we're doing here, and there is a plan. Deion, this will still work out for Deion at the end of it, but the people that do this, it's not acceptable.
So let's ask the question people are probably asking at home on that basis. And I'm not making any accusation here, I'm not doing anything. Say if Isaac signs the paperwork to fight on July the 6th, and you get it back in a fortnight's time, and it's all signed off, and then he gets injured before July the 6th.
Then the fight is he signed a contract,
yeah.
So he can't then fight anywhere else.
Okay.
Because if he pulls out injured, we just keep giving him a date.
But what if he were to be injured multiple times, a recurring injury, bad?
But then what would happen is the board would then allow us to defend against somebody else.
Right.
If Isaac Chamberlain signs the fight, we will have somebody in reserve to fight Deion Jumah.
Okay.
I've got it, because until he turns up on that day, on what I'm told by everybody, he's not, so if that's the plan they choose to make, then we'll have a reserve plan. I'm totally in control of the situation.
Do it again.
Well, he might
not. He might turn up on July the 6th and fight Deion.
But I'm only assuming what Terry, your friend, and everybody else is saying. So he may turn up, but if what the rumour is true, he's going to commit a second offence.
So this all comes down to what is your value, what is your worth in a marketplace, and that's what it comes down to. The value that you have paid for, or will be paying for this fight if it goes ahead, is what the value of Deion Jumah versus Isaac Chamberlain is worth, because nobody outbids you for it.
Well, it may be worth a bit more than what I bid for it, right? I'm being honest, but it's not really. I mean, I haven't bid high.
Well, nobody bid higher, so
I haven't bid high. I've just put a bid in. I've just put a bid in case nobody else valued it, and nobody else would. And Matchroom haven't shown any interest, so it isn't worth any. And he's not fighting Isaac, and I like Isaac, and I think he's extremely talented, but he's doing things the wrong way from my perspective.
Unless this fight goes ahead on July the 6th, in which case everyone's a winner.
Don't hold your breath, apparently. That's what I've been told. Somebody wanted to have a bet with me, wanted to bet me £5,000 it wouldn't go ahead. Somebody said, I'll give you £5,000 if Isaac takes this fight. If you believe this fight's happening, I'll give you £5,000. Well, why? I'm not wanting to be in even money, but I'm not betting you £5,000 on whether Isaac's going to fight or not. It's ridiculous. So the bottom line is, though, that I do not know what Isaac is playing at, because he just seems to be alienating promoters. He seems to be doing the wrong thing by the boxers. It's just a shame.
There's a lot of issues there. If Matchroom haven't shown an interest in the fight, if you end up ultimately having to sit in front of the board for a second time, if you have made comments about other promoters being small hall, whatever it is, all these things, they chip into the general mindset of boxing fans that just fight. You're boxers.
But he's saying it's politics. It's not bloody politics. It's the fact he's pissed people off, and people don't value and he's setting his value above the norm. It's not politics. It's overvaluing yourself. And if he's that good, fight Billum Smith. He was offered to fight Billum Smith. He turned it down. Fight Billum Smith. Fight Deion Jumah. Fight these people. Right? Go and fight them. Win. You've only got to win, and you're back in the money. And sometimes in life you have to take lower money just to get your thing.
Which is what Deion's accepting. That Deion as a fighter is probably worth more than what you're paying for this fight.
Definitely.
But that's what the value of this fight is, because nobody's offering more for it. Deion accepts that, doesn't he? And
totally.
With the mindset that win this, I go on to bigger things. I can go on to a British title, at which point I can start to try and accumulate a bit more money out of it.
Exactly. It's a really simple thing. He gets it.
Yeah.
He gets it, and he has faith in his ability to achieve it.
Yeah.
So if you don't accept it, then So it's a shame. It's a shame.
Curtis Felix. We've got English Eliminator against Conor Vian. Conor Vian, decent fight, 9-1 from Norwich. So we're moving Curtis down the English route. Sometimes you have to look at a fighter in each, and you say, well, which route am I going down?
Am I going down the Southern Area route, or am I going down the English route? Well, the Southern Area fight, the Southern Area have mandated Shaquille Day to fight
Louis Adolphe. Good fight, that, but
good fight.
Crikey, what's that doing for the Southern Area? That is not like. Don't get as a fan. I'm all on board with it. Like those two fighting for the Southern Area could be an amazing shootout.
Charlie Duffield down the Southern Area.
Yeah.
Right, now we'll come on to that in a minute, but crack on with that. I'll go down the English route because it's like Kay Prospere. I'm not going to be going down. It's about career building. Career building, the fighter comes first, and it's what makes the most sense to get that fighter to the to be an overachiever. All my fighters I want to overachieve rather than underachieve. And I don't think there's many of my fighters that I can ever be held responsible and look back at them and go, they underachieved. I don't think anybody has underachieved. I think my fighters overachieve, and that's because I make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And Shaquille Day, Louis Adolphe,
one of them's coming out of a bit of a loss. It's not to say it's the end of their career because they've got a loss, but
Southern Area level, right? So they're both on anyway. But yeah, that's for those people to decide. But that for me, that was a fight was made. So you crack on with that at Southern Area level. I'll move Curtis onto English level. That's what we've done.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sensible fight. Going on just very quickly about this thing again. When you get a fighter, so if we say Curtis Felix, for example. If I am sitting there and I am offered Louis Adolphe for a Southern Area title, let's take that as an example, or I can fight an English Eliminator and move him forward to other titles, whether it be moving to English or Commonwealth or whatever, and I think, with all due respect, that the opponent that I can have at the English title Eliminator is maybe 70-30 in my favour, whereas the opponent at Southern Area level is 50-50, real 50-50. I'm going to go 70-30 favour and let somebody else go and knock 7 bells of shit out of each other for the Southern Area.
And it's not about ducking anyone, it's about the fact that you'll fight him at a time when it's appropriate to fight.
If there was an English title involved, I'd fight Louis Adolphe.
Not you. You don't want to get in the ring with Louis Adolphe.
No, you got me out. But no, at English, I will fight Louis Adolphe at an English level. I'm not fighting Louis Adolphe at Southern Area level.
Yeah.
And it's real simple. You want to fight the right fights. So a lot of people might say, oh yeah, but you don't want to fight your fights against. I do, but when the time is right. It's not, it's like fighting. You just don't. That's my plan, and I will navigate through to fight them. Like Sam Mason is fighting Kay Prospere for an English title. At Southern Area level, I wouldn't. If Sam's not in the Southern Area, I wouldn't put Kay Prospere against Sam Mason for Southern Area title.
Yeah.
Because it's an English level fight. So that's for me. I'm not about making shows. I'm about making champions and career builds and make sure that my fighters get the most amount of money at the end of the day and have the opportunity to achieve their goals. If you take really hard fights, if you take English level fights at Southern Area, if you take British level fights at English, and you do this all the time, you're just, in my opinion, you're lessening your fighters' career span.
But again, it comes back to, I think we mentioned it last week, that if those fights are there, they'll be made anyway. Like they'll be made in due course. So, say Curtis Felix goes and wins the English title, it may well be that then Louis Adolphe Shaquille Day winner gets mandated for
if Curtis has got there first.
Yeah,
100%. And then you might make it.
In which case, it makes sense to make that fight, but it doesn't make sense to make that fight at the lower level where the money isn't as good and there aren't the same opportunities that will come along with it.
Yeah, totally. And so that's the point.
So yeah, you make that career, and that career will give you the same fights in a longer term than you'd get in the shorter term if you just do it. If you just take the name of the fighter and map them out against another good fighter for one show's benefit, rather than for the fighter's benefit of.
It's not about the thing is for the public. You can say, well, look, we're putting. Like Dan Aziz is fighting Charlie Duffield on a Matchroom show. Now, I think it's a great fight. They both got good exposure. So I actually, because it's on a Matchroom show, you can half get that one because they're going to be getting paid. But it's still a way hard fight for Southern Area. But they have got TV exposure, so there's an argument. But if you're fighting on just a normal show that is not terrestrial TV, Sky TV, BT Sport, then to me, you've got to look at seriously what the advantages about going in with a really, really hard fight for what would be not great money. Josh Kennedy fought Jason Cunningham in a British Eliminator, right, at the weekend.
Steffi Bullshot.
Steffi Bullshot, right? I know what the budget would be for that fight, right? Wouldn't make sense for me. It wouldn't have been a fight I'd have took for Josh. But it's about thinking what makes sense to develop that fighter if they want to be British, Commonwealth, European, World Champion. How are we going to get there? How are we going to get a TV company behind them? Does this fight generate an immediate TV contract that makes sense? If it doesn't, why am I taking a Southern Area fight against somebody who's... both of those are definitely... Well, let's take Louis Adolphe. Louis Adolphe is definitely capable of fighting a British level.
Yeah.
So Shaquille Day is now 12-0. Talented fighter. If you ask me, I favour Louis Adolphe in the fight. But Shaquille Day has really built his career up. But the point now with him is that the right fight? We're going to see whether that was the right fight for Shaquille Day to take. I don't believe it is, but we'll see.
Yeah. Do you reckon Duffield versus Aziz will be the highest paid Southern Area fight of all time?
He said he owned promoting.
Yeah.
Probably not. No, not in a horrible way. No, because I thought you were going to say yes. Do you know what? No.
It's on a pay-per-view, isn't it? So
do you know what? They make it pay, but I know that no.
They're not going to get
joking aside, I think Dubois against
AJ Carter.
Dubois against
DL Jones.
DL Jones. I think the pay for that was very good.
Okay.
So and I would imagine that would probably be higher. But these guys will earn well because, definitely Charlie Duffield is a huge ticket seller.
Yeah.
So he'll generate a lot of money from ticket sales. But I've always said the same though with Matchroom. Generally, as a general point of view, at that level, they don't pay as much as Frank Warren pays.
Okay.
When you get to the higher level, then you can argue that there's a difference. But at that level, generally, Frank Warren pays more money than Eddie Hearn, but Eddie Hearn's admitted that as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to break the bank, but I think it's a good fight. But it won't be the highest. But does it deserve to be the highest? Probably.
Yeah, it does. I mean, DL Jones deserves to be paid well out of that Dubois fight, to be fair. But yeah, I think Duffield and Aziz. That says. Dubois, DL Jones was 90-10. This is maybe a 60-40 fight, 50-50 maybe.
It's a great fight. But joking aside, Eddie won't break the bank for any fight. The reason that fight is on that show is only because of Dylan White. Because Dylan White owns the show, so Dylan will would have, because Charlie Duffield's a stablemate, so Dylan will have asked for that fight to go on.
Yeah.
So he would have done. So it would be paid. The only reason it would be the highest paid is if Dylan wanted to take money out of his show and pay them more. So that may happen. But in normal Eddie Hearn shows, the pay is not the same as Frank Warren's show, but there are advantages. It's not always just about the money. So it was sort of a flippant remark, but sometimes it makes more sense to take less money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right, questions. We've got quite a few. I'm not prepared this week. I really am. I was saying that. Here we go. Ramesh Mahmood. With your new signing, Jasharej.
Yeah.
You pronounce it, because I can't. Jasharej, sorry. Apologies to the man. And having Florian Marku, would you consider doing a show in Albania?
No. If you're going to do a show in Albania with Florian being such a celebrity over there, you'd need an Albanian promoter who knows the market,
right,
who knows exactly how to generate sales. I wouldn't have a clue. So I'm not saying Florian has opportunities to fight, been offered as Greece, Austria, Albania, and he is somebody that can go and fight over in these countries. But it would need to be with a local promoter who knows their market.
Makes sense. Ali at some Asian boy on Twitter. I'm back for the update on Kay and when we can expect the rematch to take place. I like the fact he says I'm back. He keeps asking it.
Okay. I've got to speak to Ryan Rhodes, so we'd expect it to be end of August, beginning of September. Date to be confirmed next week.
Okay. Also, with the English middleweight title being won by Jack Cullen over the weekend, will that mean he gets a voluntary before his mandatory (brackets Linus) is ordered, or can we expect that next?
No, he gets a voluntary. He's got 4 months to do a voluntary.
So that's a vacant title, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was him versus Jack
Sellers.
That was it.
So he gets a voluntary for 4 months. So he's got until September to do a voluntary, and then then you would then get Linus mandated to fight him. They may what they can do is come and offer us a deal now as a voluntary and take it now, but you haven't got as much clout until once you become the mandatory. You have a lot more clout in where the fight's staged, how much money it is, then take it as voluntary. So we'd have no interest in doing it as a voluntary.
What's Cullen? He's a Steve Wood fighter, isn't he? VIP promotions. So it'd be up north if it ended up at their place, or you try and get it for Linus down south. That's interesting. I like those ones. Do you know Steve Wood very well?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. So you may be able to reach an agreement with him, or
probably go purse bids.
Just because he's a nice guy doesn't mean.
Don't mean you're there to look after your fighter's interests, and and we're on the 40-60. We're on the 40-60 negative side of that deal.
Yeah.
So again, they can make an offer, but unless he made a substantial offer, we'll just go to purse bids.
Do you know much about Cullen?
Yeah, good fighter.
Yeah, I've not seen much from him.
Good fighter, but Linus is a very good fighter.
There you go. Also from Ali. Also, assuming you both watched Ultimate Boxer, how hard was it not to smile when Taylin Jones, and then he's put an emoji of a duck, Jones got taken out in the first round after pulling out of the 2 fights against Linus?
I never take a positive out of somebody else's downfall.
Yeah.
I think that maybe with what he's earned out of Ultimate Boxing, he might have been a lot better off taking the Linus fight.
Karma, maybe.
Maybe.
Paul Alter on Twitter, what are your views on how Callum Smith has been managed since his big win over Groves? It's difficult because, to be fair to all involved in that, he had a baby, didn't he, not that long ago?
It's really hard to make observation. I'm not best pals with his manager, am I? So he's still with
Joe, yeah.
Still with Joe. So I'm not best pals with him. But it's really hard to make an observation. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. As a general rule, Joe Gallagher does a reasonable job with his fighters. So I wouldn't want to criticise him on something that I don't know the full circumstances to.
When did he beat Groves? That was September last year. God, he hasn't fought since, has he? Which I know he's had that baby.
But we don't know. But you don't know why.
Could be injuries.
Could be anything going. There could be personal issues. You don't know why. It doesn't seem to. They don't seem to be capitalising on his victory.
No.
But there may be reasons, and I'm not aware. When you're talking about the fighters down in London, I'm much more aware of what's going on. Up there, I would have no reason to know anything about.
Maybe he's still waiting for Andre Ward to come out of retirement.
Maybe.
Ramirez Mahmood wanted to ask, Jack Cullen won the English title at middleweight. In an ideal world, after the Linus fight, are you after the Linus fight as soon as possible?
Not as soon as possible, when it's due, which is 4 months' time.
Alright. Oliver McManus, slightly odd one. What happened to Shane Simon? Was meant to be coming to his debut last year, and for some reason his name popped into my head again earlier.
The board decided not to grant him a licence.
Alright, fair enough. UK Boxing 1 on Twitter, if you don't sell out / sell the vast majority of your venue for a small hall show, would you say 9 times out of 10 that show will end up making a loss? I'm intrigued as I'm noticing a lot of small hall shows that aren't even half packed at the moment.
Don't make a loss.
What percentage? I know that every venue will cost a different amount, all the security, etc. But on average, what percentage of the venue do you have to sell out to break even?
Your call, you need to sell it out.
100%?
You need to sell a lot of it. You need to sell a lot of it, yeah. I'd say to make it pay, you need to sell it out. Or you'd have to 18...
Assuming you've got 10 cards, 10 fights on the card.
You'd need to sell a lot. You'd need to...
80% plus? 90?
It's to break even. Yeah. It's really hard.
It's hard.
When you see these shows where there's nobody there, you know that promoter is losing money. You know they're losing money.
Which is why you've always been adverse to the idea of streaming something for free, because those small margins of.
You see some of these shows that are stream free. Look at the attendance.
Yeah.
However it's hidden, look at the attendance.
Yeah. Another one from UK Boxing 1. An absolute worst case scenario, and I know you wouldn't want to do it. Waddy versus Jumah.
It's not something I'm considering at the moment because Deion is obviously due to fight Isaac Chamberlain. Waddy, I had a meeting with last week. We had a heart-to-heart, and you know this.
Yep.
And I think the solution, the agreement that we've made with Waddy, and I think it's the best.
I think it's suitable for everyone.
Yeah. So, but more about that down the line. But it's not something we're actively looking at the moment.
Yeah. Final question, because we've flown through these. Dean on Twitter, Dean Dinkle08. Will Hurd come back from the defeat, or will he never be the same since taking the heavy defeat? Did you watch it?
I watched the highlight. I watched the whole fight.
I like that Williams.
He's good.
J-Rock. He's. I know he got chinned by Charlo, didn't he, a while back, but
that's
kind of have to accept that's going to happen.
I think some fighters. The thing is, it depends. I think most of the time, when a fighter suffers a heavy defeat, most of the time they don't come back the same. That's something, and we can talk about Ultimate Boxer now. When you suffer a painful defeat in Ultimate Boxer, a lot of time you don't come back from that. So I think some do, but the majority don't. You don't know the character of the man, etc., etc., etc. I don't know enough about him as a person, but generally you'd say they're never going to come back the same.
Do you think, because they've been building towards Hurd versus whichever Charlo, and I forget which one of the twins it is, for the best part of 12 months now? Which you can see what the plan was, is keep building them, keep getting them in the same vicinity, build that fight, and eventually it'll be worth a lot more money, and then Williams has come along and scuppered.
Yes.
Is that a case of over-marinating it somewhat, do you think? I mean, I know nobody can predict the outcome of a fight, definitely.
But when you keep, there are points, but every fight's a risk, and when you're taking on hungry young fighters, every fight is a risk. Sometimes you can overplay your hand. Yeah. And I think whether it be in overvaluing yourself, whether it be in keep taking interim fights before you take the fight that really matters. It's like Brooke Khan. That's been ruined, hasn't it? Decimated that fight. But it has, hasn't it?
It's just the ashes of that fight.
It's irrelevant now. I've no interest in that fight at all. No. And but it's been ruined because they carried on. So I think there are times where it's overplayed.
I think I once compared it to a Carol Vorderman sex tape. And I'd still watch it, but it would have been better 15 years ago. I'd still watch it. There you go. Well, is there a risk of Wilder losing this weekend with Brazil?
No, I don't think so, do you?
I don't know. I think Brazil's improved a lot since the Brazil we saw against Joshua.
Well, there's always a risk in heavyweight boxing, isn't there? It's something else. They're all avoiding each other. Now, and there's a chance that it all goes pear-shaped. They don't all fight. It's very possible.
That whole tower collapses, doesn't it, to some extent, if Wilder goes and gets chinned by Brazil this weekend.
And he could always get chinned. Yeah. I think he beats Brazil, but he can always get chinned. But the whole heavyweight division is they're all on different paths, and do you know, I'm so fed up with it.
Boring, isn't it? Yeah. It is boring. Right, you're off next week, aren't you?
Off to Turkey, so we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
Lovely. All right, so thank you very much for watching. Subscribe now before you go. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers.